Now at this point we have learned about, before we have learned that we should use this testing annotation to say that this is a testing class, this is a testing method. Now let's see exactly how testing methods work, exactly what do we do inside these testing methods. All right, so that's about, let's just see that. All right, so let's check this one. Okay, you see, inside this testing class, which has a random name, we gave it something like this. There is a method called assert equals. See, this assert equal is a part of assertion methods, or this is a part of JUnit classes, library classes, and we also have to import that, by the way, in order to use assertion methods. I will exactly show you exactly which classes do you have to import. But know that in order to use this assert equals method, you have to import this assert equals section here, JUnit assert equals. All right, and then inside this there are two parameters. One is this one, which is 4. This is the expected result, this is the result that we are expecting, and then we give the calculation in this section that we want to compare with this one, and if these two matches, then the test is passed. If they don't match, then the test is failed. For example, this will not pass because 3 into 2 is 6 and we are expecting 4. This is not going to work, as you have seen, and you understand the rest, I hope. So that's about that. Now I need to talk about a few more things at this section, which is this. You see this method here called assert equals. This is one of the assertion methods, and there are many other assertion methods. All right, and in this video, in the description below, I will give you a link where you can see all of the assertion methods, and this is the these are all the methods that you can use in order to compare different kinds of values and different kind of states, and these are all of them. I will give you the link here, this link here in the video description, so don't worry about that one. So that's about that. Now one more thing that I want to mention here is this. If you don't have any assertion method inside this, inside a testing method, then still it will be shown as passed, because by default it will be shown as passed. Okay, so that's about that. Now there is something that I want to mention at this point, something else also, which is this testing that we are doing here in this section. This is being done by using a set of libraries called the JUnit 4. All right, there is something called there is a earlier version of that, which is JUnit 3. Now at the moment we use JUnit 4, and this set of libraries and methods, classes and methods, can be used in order to test your Android application. Now this is not the only class, but your Android framework, your Android Studio by default has access to JUnit 4, and JUnit 4 is really effective, so you can actually use it. But other than this also, there is something else which is called the Mockito framework, which is this. Let me show you. Do I have it here? Yes. See, this is another one, and you can use this framework also, Mockito, in order to use in order to test your Android application. But right now we are going to be learning about JUnit, so that's about that. All right, okay, so that's another thing. Now another thing that I want to mention here is this assertion method. There are many assertion methods like assert equals, assert true, assert null, all of those, and as you can see, I just showed you all of these methods are here in this section. Like, there are so many. Now there is a better way. There is a among all of these, that is among all of these methods, there is one method that is used most of the time, and that method is called assert that method. Okay, I'll show you exactly what this is. You see, when we come here, see, there is a method among assertion methods called assert that. Now this assert that method is the most flexible method. That is because it is actually used with something called matchers. Okay, matchers, or this is called a matcher. Okay, and this matcher is part of something called the hamcrest framework, which is this one. You have to import it if you want to use it. And this hamcrest framework, actually if you think about it, this hamcrest is this word hamcrest is actually created from the word matchers, M A T C, all of those the all of those what are these alphabets that you have in matchers, they actually put them in a different order and came up with the name hamcrest. But hamcrest is a framework that has a lot of matchers methods, that is a lot of methods that can do certain kind of matching. All right, I will be talking about that within a few seconds, but right now let me show you about this. Which is this method that I am talking about? I think that is this one. So right now we are here, we know how to we set up a method here, and I will show you exactly how to do that, how to use it. And in this case we have learned that there are assertion methods, and we use these assertion methods inside these test classes. All right, and I also said that there are many assertion methods, and I also showed you the the documentation for that with all the assertion methods. But I said that there is one assertion method which is called the assert that method, which is the most flexible and most debuggable one, and most of the time you should use that one, or you can use the other ones, but you can use that one because that's a lot more powerful. And I said that assert that method here, it uses a framework called hamcrest, and inside this framework, inside these libraries basically, there are a lot of methods. This one or a different one, there are different ones, is equal to, is close to, is infinity, all of those. There are so many methods, and you can use those methods to compare what you are compare your tests. So that's about that. All right, okay. Now another thing that I want to point out at this point, before I show you exactly how we are using these methods with more examples, for example, I have shown you one example here, but I'm going to be showing you all of these examples. But before we do that, I need to tell you some more about testing, which is you need to actually you need to test, you need to set up your Gradle file before you can actually use your testing file. All right, now when you start your Gradle script, in this section here, if you think about it, this section, okay, let me show you, this is not the one, let me show you from here because this will be more clear. You see this section here, test implementation, this line, this dependency, this is actually the line we are using for JUnit 4, because we are using this set of libraries, this framework, to test our application. So we are adding that dependency in this section here. Okay, and then you have to add another line here, which is test runner, which is this one, test instrumentation runner. And this set of libraries, these libraries, this framework actually helps you, JUnit runner, runner.junit runner, it actually helps you, it actually allows you to test your Android application and print them in a log. So you also want to have this one here. So this one, JUnit 4, this one, and these two are something else. We are going to be learning about those things. By the way, I want to point out here, this is Espresso. We are talking about JUnit 4. Sorry, we are talking about instrumented test, and I said that instrumented test is used by something called Espresso. So you can see this is actually that Espresso. Okay, and this is, by the way, test runner, that actually is something part of this, which actually helps you test your run your Android application. And in your version of Android, these numbers can be different, but these lines of code, they should be here. Okay, so that's about that. Okay, so that's that. And let's go to the other project here and go to this file here that we were at this point. And let me clarify something. This annotation here, it indicates that we are going to use JUnit 4. Okay, so you can use it, you can not use it, that's up to you. And this small test, let's explain this one. What is this? You see, what happens is this: inside one testing method, you should have only one assertion method. Look at this. Inside all of these methods that we are going to be learning about, in one line there is only one assertion method. Now can't you use more than one? You can, but the thing is that when you run it, you see these things are working. Now that means that these are working, but when, for example, if one of these gives you an error and you have two assertion methods, then it becomes complicated to understand which one was the problem. Was it this one or the other one? So that becomes the problem. That's why you should not use more than one assertion method in one of these. Okay, and one thing you should know about local unit testing is that it follows the strategy of testing the smallest unit of code. For example, one method, one logic, one line. That's how you test. You don't test multiple lines at once. You can, but you don't want to. So that's about that. Now at this small test thing, it actually means that we are going to be conducting a small test. But if we want to actually use bigger one, then there is this another one called medium, at the right medium, and then there is this another annotation called at the right large. So that's about that. And by the way, one thing I want to point out here is this: you have to import all of these, this one, run with JUnit 4. You also have to that. And in this case, for example, in the here we are using some methods called is equal to. I will be showing you like is equal to. We actually have to bring those methods here also. Is equal to is method, which is a part of this matchers, which is hamcrest, and then is equal to, which is also part of that. So we are going to have to import all of those things here. All right, okay, so that's about that. Now if you want to learn more about hamcrest, by the way, in that case I can actually give you, I will also give you the link for hamcrest documentation, which is this one. Okay, and you can go there and you can get started, and they have a lot of examples, and if you actually want to use all of these methods, then you can do that. Okay, so that's about that. Okay, so that's that. Now at this point, let's just see exactly how we test our Android application. You see, one way I showed you here, which is this. The other way, when we are in this class, in this Android project here, I have a class. I have two classes here. One is main activity, and then main activity actually uses a different Java class, and I am pretty sure you know how to use that one. So it uses a different Java class. Inside that Java class, we have certain methods like add, subtract, divide, multiple. All right, and we want to check all of these methods. We want to actually check all of these methods are working correctly for different situations. All right, now what do I mean by different situations? That is when your Android application is working normally, then when you for example add two numbers but give a negative number, if it is working properly. When you give a floating number, if it is working properly. When you are using when you are subtracting, like when you are using this this method here, subtract, it simply subtracts one number from another number. But what we want to check is this: is it working normally? When we are giving it when it gives negative result, does it work also? And then we are going to multiply, like there is this other method which is called multiply, and we are going to see if multiplication is working. And we could actually check in this example, I'm not going to show that, but we could actually check what if we give really large numbers, two really large numbers, and the result is really big. What happens? Does my Android application runs actually properly in that case? And we are also going to divide these numbers. Does it work normally? Or then we are going to see exactly if we give it a 0, if we divide it by 0, then what happens? So all of those things can be checked. All right, so that's about that. Now how did we do that? You see, at first we obviously created this, and then we brought all of these methods here before. Then we also imported this one. We also imported the hamcrest. We also imported the assert, that method that we are talking about. We imported the equal to, is equal to. All right, then we actually did some preparation here, see, in this before method. And that preparation is something like that. We actually took an object of this class here, this calculator class. As you can see, calculator, amcalculator, then amcalculator equal to new amcalculator, which is basically an object of this class. Now we can actually access these methods here. right? Now the next thing that we did is this. You can see we created a testing method by using the annotation called test, and then we gave it a name and everything. Then we gave it a double value, all right, and it has a name obviously. And then we gave it we sent two values inside this section here, inside this add method here. We sent two values which are 6 and 6. Now you might be wondering, what is this D doing here? What is this D? See, D stands for actually double here. Now why do you need this D here? Because you see, you might want to check your logic with double, and then you might want to check your logic with a float, then you might want to check it with a normal integer or with a different data type. So these data types actually help you to understand like which one you are testing with. So that's the reason this D is here, otherwise there is nothing else. So this is a 6 and double value. We give it a different double value, and we give it a assert method, and this result is the result that we are checking, and this is the expected result. Like, is it equal to 12? Like when we add these two numbers, is it equal to 12D? Yes, it is. So if we run it, it's going to work. But what if we change it and give it 11 and then run it again? By the way, you don't have to go here all the time. You can actually come here and then press it here. Now you can see it's this class is only running. Now that's because you see inside this here, when you say app, that actually runs the whole app. But when you say calculator test, this actually runs this section. Simple calculator app, simple calculator, this is a different thing. Calculator test 2 is this one. So you can check it actually from here also, and this is right now here, and you can just run it here. Now it also, when you run it, it also shows you add two numbers, you can see, all right, and the value, you see, it says that the expected is, you see, expected is actually is 12, but you are saying that you expect 11, so that's not going to work. So that's about that. And then here also we did the same thing, is equal to, and we tested it with a negative number, and then we tested it with a floating number. Now in this case I want to discuss something with this floating case. You see, when you have numbers that have decimal value after it, in those cases what can happen is that, let me just show you what can happen. If we use the equal to method like this, okay, and take this out, because with the equal to there is only one parameter, and if we run it, okay, you see this add two numbers float, has a problem, which is, see, we are expecting 4.4.4, but the original was actually 4.399998867, which is a long number. Okay, so there is a precision problem. Now the question that comes here is this, that is this a problem with your coding, or is this a problem with your testing? Now of course we can, like in these cases you can't actually use the equal to method, because that's not going to work. So you have to use a method called the close to, which is this one, okay, close to. And inside this close to, you first give your expected result, and then the second parameter, as the second parameter, my mistake, as the second parameter you give the limitation, or give the location, to give the point till which you actually accept the error. So we are giving here the 2 decimal points. So now if we run it, it's going to run normally. Okay, so that's about that. And by the way, let me just where is this method here, add two numbers, right? Let's just fix this one. So that's about that. And here in this case, all of these methods, you are going to understand all of them together and by yourself. I am pretty sure about that. Now let me show you something here. This div2 number here, in this case we are giving it a 0. All right, Now in that case, that actually means that it's going to give positive infinity or negative infinity. So we want to check that whether it's giving a positive infinity, negative infinity, what. Okay, so in that case we want to check it, and then as you can see, double dot positive infinity. So is it equal to positive infinity? Maybe yes, and then it works actually, div two numbers. So that's about that. That's pretty much it. That's how you test your Android application using local unit testing. So I hope you are having a good day. I hope you are learning a lot.